Hey guys, I'm Liz Bramwell. Each week I host a live cooking show right here in the studio kitchen. My customers dine on my featured entree. I tell them where to get the ingredients and how to make it when they go home. I make it seem seamless and simple, and it's always so much fun. So come see what's going on, who's doing what, and where it's all happening right here inside the studio kitchen. Never have to force joy on a Friday when all you're doing is eating, drinking, and enjoying yourselves. No one's working. You just have to be careful about driving afterwards, and it's not snowing, so everyone should be very grateful, right? Your entree this evening, house-made Spaetzle. It's going to be served with some pan-seared chicken, some fresh mushrooms, a little chicken stock, a little Madeira, salt, pepper, heavy cream, little parm, finishing off with some creme fraiche as if there isn't enough fat in there already. And that is going to be poured right over the top of that house-made Spaetzle. It's going to be garnished with some additional cheese as well as some microgreens and chives. How does that sound?
Yeah, good.
For those of you who are like, yep, wasn't listening, We're having chicken with mushrooms and dumplings. All right? That's what we're having. That's what we're having for dinner, okay? Yes. So that's the thing. It says on the website, next to the asterisk, you're supposed to bring pencil and paper. Of course not. Of course it doesn't say that. People are drinking in here. I expect nothing. No, all you have to do is email the website. We used to print them out, and then I would just see how much paper got wasted, so it like crushed my soul. So if you email the website, Kathy is the one who actually fields all those emails. She'll send you my recipes. My one piece of advice is this: pay attention to all my serving sizes. You don't want to end up with compote for 40, chicken for 2, and Spaetzle for 20, all right? So that's the only thing. So I have chicken thighs here. I find that chicken thighs are something people either swear by or never purchase ever. There are people who just don't buy chicken thighs, or there are people who use chicken thighs for absolutely everything. The reason why we decided to go with chicken thighs for this was I was in the grocery store and I saw how cheap they were. Yeah. I've always been that person who, if it called for chicken thighs, I would still buy chicken breasts and I would make a dish, no matter what it is. You're like, that's me, right? Something weird about chicken thighs.
Yes.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But then when you go to the grocery store and you realize that you can get 6 extra large chicken thighs for $1.58, you're like, you know what? Chicken thighs look really good this week. Yeah. I think I can make pretty much anything with a chicken thigh. Now, I actually had chicken thighs for the first time a couple years ago, and I used a chicken thigh to make chicken parm. And I actually just redid that recipe in one of my classes a few weeks ago. It was literally the best chicken parm I've ever made. Required no pounding, left the skin on, breaded the ever-living daylights out of it, pan-fried it in like ½ inch of extra virgin olive oil, and then topped it with rustic tomato sauce and a big ball of burrata. So good. So chicken thighs are unbelievably tender and like ridiculously cheap.
Why are they so cheap?
I don't know. I don't really want to ask either. So I have 2 chicken thighs here. All right, one is obviously already boneless, and I did trim it down just slightly. I am going to keep the skin on these bad boys. However, if you wanted to remove the skin, you absolutely can. The most important thing about breaking down chicken thighs is getting out, of course there's a bone right here, getting all of the bones out and all of the connective tissue and basically any of the tendons that are kind of sticking outside. Anything that's going to end up chewy, that's what you need to get rid of. So, always like to demonstrate how to debone a chicken thigh because it's really easy. It's going to be cheaper if you buy it bone in, and then when you get it home, it's really not that hard to break it down. So obviously starting bone side up, okay? We're literally just going to follow the bone as is, okay? One more side here. Of course, Kathy, remind me to sharpen my knife, okay?
Yep.
Cutting basically just down and around. And just rolling it out. Nice and easy. Okay. Bone aside.
Yeah.
Nice boneless chicken thigh.
Well done.
Thank you. That was actually a little floppy, but thank you so much. Just get to sit here and judge myself real hard right now. Cutting off any of the extra fat, any of the extra connective tissue, and any of the extra tendons. So now we have 2 very nice boneless chicken thighs to work with. So all I'm gonna do to make this easier for myself, I'm gonna leave that one whole, is I'm gonna quarter these. If you guys wanted to do this at home and leave your chicken thighs whole, you absolutely can. I just think that it's a little easier once you quarter them. Let's go ahead and give it a season. Salt and pepper, keeping it really simple, all right? Just flipping them over. I know, crazy stuff. 120 G's right there. Use salt and pepper. Salt and pepper makes the food taste good.
What kind of salt though?
Always kosher. Iodized stuff, I mean, honestly, if you still got that salt and pepper shaker on your table and you have to put rice in it to keep it from sticking together, I feel like you should just use it on the driveway at some point in the next couple of months. Just call it. Just retire the rice-filled salt shaker. So, everything is all seasoned. We're gonna go ahead and just add a little bit of flour. I am using all-purpose, right? And all the flour is going to do for us is help to create a nice sear on the outside. All right, so oil is coming up to its smoke point. Like I said, about 1/4 cup. I'm gonna go skin side down, see if we can get our skin crispy and delicious, okay? Crispy. I'm gonna make sure that tiny little postage stamp of skin that's on there is crispy. Because if you're gonna leave the skin on the chicken, that's what you're looking for, right? Nobody leaves the skin on to then peel it off later. At least hopefully not. It's the first thing I eat off the turkey. I don't actually like turkey. I just cook it for the skin. Seriously. Hold on. So I raise chickens for eggs, and the male chickens, the roosters that we get out of all the babies, I wait until they're big enough and then I slaughter them and I eat them. I only need like 5 to 8 men at a time, so I got 30 girls. All right, so chicken is ready to go, literally. So say that again? Oh goodness, all right, let me get the shallots in there and we can talk birds. I got a whole bunch of different ones. So very quickly, I'm gonna add about 1.5 tablespoons of shallot to this, as well as about 1 teaspoon of chopped raw garlic, right? Now, all I'm looking to do is wait until that's fragrant. I do not think that browning garlic is absolutely necessary. However, if it does happen, that's okay. Once you burn it, start over.
Right.
Gonna add a little more extra virgin to this pan. And I'm gonna turn this bad boy up on high. All right, guys, so very quickly, I'm adding about 2 cups of mushrooms to this.
Just fall, like what kind?
For the mushrooms?
Yeah.
All right, good question. Probably should have talked about it.
Probably.
I'm using 4 different kinds of mushrooms here. Let's get rid of all this. So, let me just get these mushrooms down to the bottom. Beautiful. So I do want to get a decent sear on these. And I'm going to give it a little more extra virgin. These mushrooms suck up the oil like a sponge. 4 different kinds of mushrooms in my mushroom medley, and this is actually our house medley for this restaurant. I have shiitake mushrooms. Jim, further out. Yeah, there we go. So I have shiitake mushrooms. We have cremini mushrooms, or, I mean, when you guys get them in the grocery store, they have baby bellas, creminis, button mushrooms, and white mushrooms. Essentially, it's the same mushroom in 4 different stages of its life. Marketed 4 different ways at 4 different price points. So if a recipe calls for cremini, but the button mushrooms are cheaper, the white mushrooms are cheaper, or baby bellas are already sliced and they're cheap as hell by the pound, buy whatever you like. Then I have one of my favorites, which is maitake, or hen of the woods. And then we also have some beautiful oyster mushrooms right here. Now, if you really want to go with the wild mushrooms, you absolutely can. I actually encourage people to go to Asian markets over whole wallet to buy their wild mushrooms because the price point is so much lower. But you can make this dish with just one type of mushroom. So if you have one kind of mushroom that you like, maybe the person that you're making them for doesn't like mushrooms at all, and you just want to stick some in there and hope that they don't see them, pick any mushroom and work with that. So to this pan, I'm going to add some Madeira wine. If you want to use Marsala for this, you absolutely can. The only difference is Marsala is a little sweeter than Madeira. That's it. All right? If you find it at the grocery and it's cheaper, well, actually, you know what? If you're buying either one, you shouldn't be at the grocery, because if you're buying that stuff that's called cooking wine, I don't actually know what that is. Like, if there's booze going in my food, I should be able to drink it on its own. If you're just pouring stuff in there willy-nilly that, like, you wouldn't drink yourself, you should stop doing that.
Yeah, right.
Stop doing that. I'm also going to add a cup of chicken stock to this. I'm going to save a little bit for later. I can always add more. We're going to add some heavy cream, about 1/3 of a cup. And I'm going to let this reduce. Now, the only salt and pepper that's in there right now is the salt and pepper that was actually on the chicken before we seared it. Whenever I'm dealing with something like this, anything that's going to end up reducing down, I usually wait until the very end to do most of my seasoning. Also, we're going to be adding about a cup of Parmesan cheese right there, so that's about a teaspoon of salt on its own. So, waiting until the very end to season, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So our chicken actually looks pretty good right now. We're still reducing. I want it to come down to not quite a nappe. This already tastes really good. Sometimes I hate that I actually know how to cook, you know? It's depressing how good some of my things come out.
You stay so slim.
Stress. This is always worrying about money. That's what this looks like. Yeah. No, I just, you know, I'm like a manual laborer, so that usually helps. Stress.
You take just a taste as opposed to eat the whole.
Oh no, don't think for a second I'm not gonna have 10 glasses of wine tonight and eat that cold on the sofa, like while I'm watching my IDTV murder shows, because that's how I do, you know. Honestly, my weight does fluctuate, usually when I'm eating a lot of pizza for extended periods of time. So when I'm not, I look like this. When I am, I have jackets that are one size larger upstairs. Okay, so you also asked me about types of birds. Let's just slow this roll. So, types of birds that I have a whole bunch of different kinds. I have normal sized birds and I have bantams. So I have a lot of laced Wyandottes. I have both gold and white. I have 3 different kinds of Americanas. I have silkies, both brown, white, and gray. I have, let's think about this. Some Plymouth Rocks. I have some Barred Rocks. I have,
No reds?
no reds. I don't have any reds. Sorry. I have tons of friends who have like only reds.
Yeah.
And so my flock looks like a rainbow and they're over there just like brown, red. But
Totally.
I would have to think, I get different kinds every year. Just to keep the different bloodlines kind of mixing. So I have some of the prettiest roosters you have ever seen. My boyfriend actually makes what do they call them? What do you when you fly fish?
Flies.
So he makes flies out of some of my roosters' tail feathers. They are like absolutely gorgeous. And I literally get them just from mixing 13 different kinds of chickens. All my bantams are little, most of my bantams are hens. I only have two roosters that made it, because they're just, I mean, my biggest thing is with the bantams, I find that they have like very minimal problems. They never get scaly leg mites, they never have, they're never egg bound, like none of that stuff ever happens to them, so I like having them. But their eggs are this big, so I have to eat like 10 at a time for it to like count. So those are the kinds of chickens and roosters that I have. For everyone in here is just kind of nodding along. It's totally all right. There's a lot of pretty things in there.
Do you have electrified fence?
No.
Okay.
That's like asking for me to get electrocuted. The only person that's going to get injured on my property with an electric fence is going to be me, like forgetting that it's there, going to get the mail, like, yeah, let's go get the mail, and then like, you know, bad stuff. All right, guys, so very quick. I have 4 whole eggs in here, and I'm going to add 1/3 of a cup of whole milk to this. We're making our Spaetzle now. So Spaetzle is a German-style dumpling. If you wanted to just use pasta with this recipe, you absolutely could. Does it come out fantastic? Yes, it does. I actually did it the other day, and I did it with, no judgment, bow tie pasta, because it's literally the best shape that's ever existed. It was delicious. So, 1/3 of a cup, 4 whole eggs. I'm gonna add probably about, maybe a teaspoon. Let's do a little more than a teaspoon. Teaspoon of kosher salt. I'm not gonna put any pepper in here. And then I have 1.5 cups of flour in here. Now I am using an all-purpose. If you end up using whole wheat or high gluten, all you're gonna have to do is adjust and add a little more liquid, but this stuff is literally gonna look like wallpaper paste. It's actually gonna be a little thicker than that, all right? Just whisking this together. No, you don't have to worry about over whisking. As soon as all the lumps are out, you're good to go, all right? I do have some boiling water here, and my sauce is actually like legit perfect right now, so I'm gonna turn this off, but I am gonna taste it first. This is literally perfect. That's how I get up every day. So I'm gonna put that on low, low, low.
So that still has chicken and mushrooms in there.
Chicken, mushrooms, garlic, shallot, a little bit of Madeira chicken stock, as well as some heavy cream at this point. Then we're gonna finish it with creme fraiche, Parmesan cheese, a little bit of chive for color. That's it.
So no dairy.
Heavy.
Right now.
Right now there's heavy cream.
Oh, that's right.
Yep, so that's the only dairy that's in there right now. So I'm gonna take my Spaetzle and just dump the batter right in. I'm using a food mill, right? So that's what's going to create our shape. And I'm just gonna run this over the top now, right into boiling water. Literally looks so weird.
So that's usually potatoes. So instead it's pasta.
For a food mill, you could use whatever you want. So these are dumplings, so they're technically like kind of like a pasta.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that water has to be boiling.
Yes, exactly.
And salt.
No salt. So I've salted the batter. So I
Bland. It's German.
This is, bland's a bad term.
Yeah.
But the dumpling itself is seasoned, but the water is not seasoned. So whereas like normally pasta does have salt in it, but pasta is never heavily salted, whereas this is. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. So I'm gonna let this go for just a minute. All right. These are pretty good. Now, when it comes to cooking these, I always have a lot of people ask me, like, how do you know when it's done? Some pasta floats, like filled pasta floats when it's done. Regular pasta doesn't necessarily have to. These are teeny tiny little dumplings. You give them a minute and they're good. That's it. if you throw it against the wall, it's probably not gonna stick. I don't think there's like as much gluten in this as there is in like regular pasta. Also, it's only worked for like 2 minutes. So I mean, if you wanna like litter a couple of your kitchen windows with dumplings, you absolutely can, but hopefully you have a dog that will clean them up afterwards. All right, I'm gonna add also a little tiny bit of salt to this, a little more pepper, just get it in there. And then of course some Parmesan cheese, because why not? Delicious.
Yeah.
Delicious parm. All right, guys.
Yeah.
100%, right?
So I'm gonna try and get
You know,
most of my Spaetzle in there first. Spaetzle?
Spaetzle.
Yeah. I always feel like a goober saying it like that, but that's how you
But
say
that's
it.
how you say it,
Spaetzle.
Of course.
So here in the United States, we say Spaetzle
Right.
because that's how it's spelled, so we pronounce it the way it's spelled. But if you have Spaetzle is how you say it. I'm glad I made one person's day with that.
I used to live in Germany.
Does anybody else know how to say it? Spaetzle? Say it again? Yeah! Walking through the grocery store like, hey honey, you wanna grab the mushrooms? We'll put together some German Spaetzle. You could be just like, what's her name? Giada on TV. She'll be like, we're making this delicious, this very delicious lasagna. And we're gonna put in some lasagna noodles. There's gonna be some tomato, a little bit of ground protein. Maybe we'll go with pork, and then we're gonna fold some ricotta cheese into that very delicious lasagna, right? And then we'll finish the lasagna very nicely with a little Parmesan cheese. I'm like, just say it regular. Everything else is regular. Just say it regular. Well, what are you talking about? You know, my cousins are from Wisconsin, where they drink all kinds of soda. You know, pop, they drink pop and soda, and they pay for things with dollars. Yep. Well, don't you know? Depends on where you're from in Wisconsin. If you're way up there, you know, you're basically in Canada. Yeah? All right. So, pasta's in the bowl. A little bit of cheese. Little microgreens. What do we think of my delightful dish? That's good. That's a good idea. You know what? I don't have any chives on mine, so we're just gonna chop up these horribly expensive microgreens and add a little color to the edge. Okay. There we go. All right, so what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna pick this up and I'm gonna face towards the camera and I'm gonna say, this is our Spaetzle with chicken, mushrooms, and Madeira. And once Madeira comes out of my mouth, you're all gonna go like this.
Okay.
But not too long of a pause, because then they'll know it's totally fake, okay? Ready? So this is our house-made Spaetzle with chicken, mushrooms, and Madeira. Thank you. Guys, thank you so much. Okay.